Happy Tuesday, everybody. Yeah, it's Tuesday. I love Tuesday, too. Now, this is typically the time of the year when there's not much news to talk about. I mean, unless someone decides to burn down our Christmas tree again. But I think Chris Wallace is out of town this year. Shame he blamed it on that homeless guy. But frankly, lots of people who work in the news aren't working. Honestly, Dana's been phoning it in for weeks, and Shannon Bream's been too busy stealing kids' toys. She is evil. It's weird. You notice that trend when all the news people are away goes the news as well? And what's being called news right now is even crappier than usual, like the Jan 6 committee show trial. They literally hired an ABC producer to shellac that diarrhea. I like that image. This week, the House Select Committee voted that former President Trump should face criminal charges over Jan 6. Here's the former president when he heard the news.
I don't know.
So is this really news? No, it's the least surprising thing since I was voted to be the cover of FNC's 2022 Hottest Male Anchors calendar. Take that, Hammer. There's a new sheriff in town, and his chaps are made of leather. But you hear both the media and the White House agree. Jan 6 was the worst thing since the Civil War. But I bet Lincoln wishes the worst thing that happened to him was that someone just stole his podium. Because he was shot. We have a lot of young people in the audience. True, January 6th was just like the Civil War to AOC because she wasn't at either. Anyway, the fake panel recommended the Justice Department charge Trump with insurrection, obstruction of an official proceeding, making false statements to investigators, and conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government. They left out the JFK assassination. But all of this is BS on its face, which I hear keeps Pelosi's skin looking young. Just rub it in. Ugh. You can handle the smell. But this whole vote is the least shocking thing in politics since Epstein was found dead in his cell and Hillary was seen leaving the scene on a broom. The most shocking thing in politics was when Bernie Sanders accidentally peed on his neighbor's electric cattle fence. Not as fun as it looked. Of course, the committee was the most lopsided mob since the villagers went after Frankenstein. They made it one-sided for a reason. That's how a third-hand account of Trump attacking Secret Service from the backseat of an SUV suddenly becomes evidence. The only two Republicans on the panel were Liz and Adam. But calling those two Republicans, it's like calling the WNBA professional basketball.
A sexist would say.
It's disgusting. Here is Liz and Adam talking about Trump. Wow. The whole thing was as pointless as they are, because not only are Republicans expected to dissolve this committee when they take control of the House, those two wet windbags, they're on their way out. They'll be switching parties like my New Year's guests do when Kilmeade shows up. Cheney lost her primary to Harriet Hageman by 37 points. I haven't seen a blowout like that since Hegseth had his bangs done.
Oh my God.
And Kinzinger is retiring, perhaps to audition for a more feminine voice on The View. And both want to run for president. I say, may the best girl win. I kid, of course, but they are jerks because they're disgusted by half the country. You know, the good half. And they're willing to salt the wounds of voters because Trump wasn't their best friend. So they'll cleave a country by pushing jail for Trump. Meanwhile, you also have the White House echoing their sentiment.
What we saw on January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Our democracy continues and remains under threat.
What's it say when two Republicans sound like cringe Jean Paul? Oh, it works. Cringe.
I mean, he's right. You do cringe.
Cringe, John Paul. This is gonna stick. If you
You're
just
laughing,
keep.
Jean-Pierre.
I know. All right, let me finish, Kennedy. But it does make me long for the honesty of Jen Psaki. But it's obvious that Jan 6 is their therapy and nothing more, because as a criminal referral, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't obligate feds to bring a case, meaning the hearing was simply a political vendetta disguised as a hearing but turned into a show trial. And once again, this isn't any more surprising than our president huffing a bottle of Johnson & Johnson No More Tears shampoo. Just a piece of fake news in a week where the networks take what they can get. And they took it because they're already on vacation from reality. Let's welcome tonight's guest. This Kennedy never takes a back seat. Well, that was subtle. Host of Kennedy on Fox Business, Kennedy. He dresses up as Santa because it's the only way he gets to see his kids. Actor, writer, and comedian Jamie Lissow. She's like an icicle, cold, sharp, and can be found hanging upside down in your doorway. Fox's contributor, Kat Tim. And the winter solstice starts when he opens his fridge. My massive sidekick and the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Tyrus. Kennedy, I want to go to you first because, like me, you've been in this business a long time. You've seen the ups, you've seen the downs, you've seen the sideways.
The ins and the outs.
And
right?
the ins and the outies, yes. Do you notice that correlation between a slow news day and an absence of news people? Like whenever there's holiday, I mean, it's like suddenly, do killings stop? Does everything just stop? And then now it's just we talk about the weather?
Yeah, if there are no news people in the forest, do the trees not make any sound when their branches snap off?
Yes.
So does that mean that they are just manufacturing news?
Mm-hmm.
By and large, the answer is yes, and all you have to do is look at the news that they have ignored and look at the news that they have focused on. And you realize that there is a great imbalance in this country in terms of people speaking truth to power. All they are doing is othering a side they don't agree with.
Right.
But agreeing with something does not make it true. It does not make it right. But we have given up on objective journalism in this country. And I think most people who call themselves journalists should just give up and start selling houses.
Yes. There's still some people. I mean, obviously the people working on the
Twitter files.
Twitter files are great. Schellenberger and Taibbi and
Barry White.
Barry Weiss are
Lee
great.
Fang.
You laughing because I have a terrible memory?
Yeah.
Oh. I have not had much sleep. You know, I got a puppy. I have not slept. You know, Jamie, I was wondering as I was coming here, whose hatred is worse? Liz and Adam toward Trump or your ex-wife toward you?
The latter.
Yes. Did she take the ladder too?
Yeah.
Because she took the house.
I got it. Yeah.
Ladder?
Yeah. Unlike a big old bottle of salt in the wound. You got any lemon slices in there with you?
I'm going to be honest. I needed the latter explanation to get it. I don't know if I'm just stupid.
That makes you a Latter-day Saint.
Oh, damn.
I'm sorry. No, you encourage them. Go ahead. Keep going.
I have a problem. It's okay. So what, Jamie? I mean, now they're going to release his tax files. It's like what Kennedy said. They're avoiding real news. Now they're going to release his tax returns. Haven't they had enough? What's your take?
Well, first of all, I'm still reeling from this news about Lincoln.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's the greatest thing about knowing nothing about history. You can watch historical movies and be surprised, you know? Like I was watching Pearl Harbor and I was like, what did they do?
It kind of changed your view of World War II.
The whole thing, I was like, I had this all wrong.
Yes, exactly.
But obviously what irritates me the most is the press secretary comparing Jan 6 to the Civil War. That's insane. I saw on Twitter people were like, that's like comparing apples to oranges. And I was like, I feel like that's not a horrible comparison.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think we should get rid of the whole saying apples to orange because they're both like circle and they're both like fruit. And we should change it to like, that's like comparing the press secretary to someone who's not a dumbass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it insulting though that I mean I feel like it's almost insulting to like veterans almost like to
Of course it is.
Like, can you imagine you're talking to somebody and you're like, oh, we're both in the service. You know, the guy was like, yeah, I was in Afghanistan. You know, what about you? Oh, I was on, Jan 6. He's like, oh, how long were you in for? Half a day.
Half a day.
Yeah. I got home before Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
We had a couple of fallen brothers, but they got back up.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing to me.
It is. I would not compare Jan 6th to Civil War, but I would compare Jan Brady to Civil War. A little Brady Bunch humor there, Kat. I know how you feel. You look at this stuff and you go, there goes our tax dollars again.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Just because something happened after a very, very bad thing doesn't mean you can compare the two things. You can find some little thing in common. Like, okay, 8 years ago, my mom died. Okay. At some point after that, my dad took a nap.
Yeah.
Technically, you could say that was the worst instance I had of trying to reach a parent since my mom's untimely death. But I would never make that a comparison because it's insane.
Yes.
So I have no idea how you get away with saying something like that. But I think she just says stuff like that all the time. So we're just kind of getting used to it.
Yeah, it's their show trial, Tyrus. Is it as bad as the Civil War?
Sure. I remember minutes into January 6th, I got a text going, "You're not free anymore, Briz. Report to Georgia and the Cotton Line." I was like, "Oh."
It really is.
And then
bad.
it stopped, and I was like, "Whew, that was almost as bad as the Civil War, I think." No, here's the thing. If this is what impeachment number 3. This is what this was. This is virtue signaling. They're about to get canceled. It's coming. They had to get it out. But again, when this first came out, there was these two agencies, and I know they're not real popular with us right now, but the CIA and the FBI, they did a pretty good investigation. They determined that the president wasn't a character that they were investigating. Okay, maybe he was a jerk about it, but he clearly wasn't planning it, and et cetera. That means nothing to them,
right? Because
they needed one more thing because they're trying to stop him from getting reelected. So this is how they're trying to do it.
That's all it is. Yeah.
But again, if something's truly bad, like if I lost both my legs in a shark attack, I don't have to compare it to anything else.
Yeah.
I lost my legs in a shark attack.
Yeah.
So if January 6th was that bad, you don't need to compare it to anything. You know what I'm saying? You don't.
That's exactly right.
Why would you compare it? January 6th. Oh, yeah. Damn. Yeah. Oh, you got to compare it.
Because I remember when 9/11 happened, we weren't doing comparisons.
9/11 was as bad as the time I missed my alarm for school. No.
Yeah.
Do you know what
compare.
it's similar to? Gordon Liddy always hated when people would tag gate onto the end of a scandal, like travel gate. It's like intern gate. It's like, that was the name of the hotel, the office building where they broke in.
I know.
It doesn't signal anything else. But that one thing, they've stopped comparing everything to Hitler.
Yeah.
So that is they're slightly more sophisticated than.
I remember when that guy stole my gate, and we were calling that Gate.
Really?
And then I had a limp, and that was also bad Gate.
You just need a nap. We're going to pause the show 30 minutes, and he's going to take a nap.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.